let's talk about the actual wins and losses and how it looks, right? Right? I mean, training camp's open. It's Brian Schottenheimer's first run at it, not just for Dallas, but period. What are you hearing? What are you sensing that's different, that can be different, that will actually result in the wins that can take a lot of these conversations off the table? Clarence?
Well, the only thing the main thing is Dak being healthy. When Dak has been healthy and played the full complement of game, the Cowboys have been winners in the sense that they've made the playoffs. They've contended for the playoffs late in the season. It's just what it's going to happen when they get to the playoffs that's the issue, But they've generally been a playoff team when Dak is healthy, and Dak is healthy and ready to go. And the Cowboys are excited. They brought in George Pickens to pair with CeeDee Lamb. They should have one of the most exciting pass offers in the league. With CeeDee and George Pickens and Dak Prescott throwing the ball around the park. When the last time he was fully healthy and played a fully complemented games, he was the MVP runner-up and really should have won it. His numbers were better than Lamar Jackson that year.
What about the run game? What about that?
That's the question. They've improved the offensive line. First round pick Tyler Booker. They should run the ball better. The question is who's going to carry the ball. And Miles Sanders, Javonte Williams, Jaden Blue. There's some questions at running back, but the blocking should be better. The threat of CeeDee and George on the outside should help open things up in the running game. They should run the ball better. But the big issue for me, when we're talking about how good they can be, if they can make a playoff run, really deep playoff run for the first time since their last Super Bowl title in 1995. Remember, the Cowboys have the longest drought to get to the NFC title game in the NFC since Washington got there last year with Jaden Daniels. They have the longest drought. And that's something that Jerry should be sensitive about, and certainly the players and the fans are certainly sensitive about this long drought. But they got to find a way to stop the run. Their biggest bugaboo has been defense, not been able to stop the run, not been able to run the ball, but also not been able to stop the run. And they did little to improve their run defense last year.
Well, what about health-wise as well, Clarence? I mean, of all the people that might have sparked Jerry's soliloquy on injuries and big-time contracts not being lived up to because of it, there's Trayvon Diggs sitting there, right, and out. What's his scoop and the rest of the injury front going into this season?
Diggs is not he signed a rich contract a couple of years ago, and he's been injured the past 2 years. A torn ACL in 2023 after 3 games, and then last year he suffered a knee injury and has been out, and it may not be back to October. That's the reality of it. And certainly he has a deal clause in his contract that he should be around for the offseason program and show up. And so he loses $500,000 on a $10 million salary. So he's going to make $9.5 million this year anyway, right? But he lost $500,000 of incentives to show up for the offseason program because he valued his trainer in Florida is going to get him help and get him healthy and ready to go for the bulk of his career, not just for this season. And he has a public spat with the Cowboys training department. And so he decided to train elsewhere. And Jerry threw him under the bus, so to speak, about his rehab and not being around yesterday. And we was talking about Micah. He just picked up and threw Diggs under the bus,
Yes.
and invoked Diggs into the conversation.
Yes.
But we all knew that Diggs was not, and everyone knows that Diggs' injury situation, he might not be ready for the start of the season. And that's been the case. And you add in Siobhan Rebel, the 3rd-round pick, who's also on the NFI list and coming off ACL injury. Yeah, they have questions in the secondary because you don't know when you're going to get Diggs, and you don't know. And Rebel coming off his ACL, he may not be at his best until next season.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.